All right, good morning, everybody. Looks like our trade plan is pretty much the same as last night. So we had a little bit of a pullback on the pre-market here, pulling back towards that value low a couple of times, actually. You pulled back once and then bounced off of it. You didn't make it back to that value high, kind of putting in lower highs here, and then hitting that value low again. So a little bit of bearish pressure. You can see we're constantly putting in lower highs and lower lows. But not too bearish just yet. It would have to lose that value low to be very bearish, targeting that lower tail. And that's our trade plan, right? So going down to 75, or even lower than that, going down to 38. If it stays above 605, you're just rotating back to that value high of yesterday, possibly the POC of yesterday. That'd be around like 25 to 31. And then above 31, you have a potential to break out into those extension levels. As of right now, you're just more of an overlap. You're that neutral kind of D-shaped day. We don't really see a very one-sided bias just yet. So NASDAQ is slightly different. NASDAQ is a little bit more bullish because you are holding above that value high of yesterday. So we didn't hit the value low, and we are actually putting in higher highs and higher lows, basically the opposite of ES. And you can see we're bouncing off that value high of yesterday. So if it stays above that 713, we have that 962 extension target, and then somewhere around like 31,000, maybe around the 40s for another extension. If it stays below 713, so we can go ahead and raise this lower level here to 713, and then we can raise these up a little bit. That would go to 538. And where's that low? That low is 316. So you can look for that rotation downward and then possibly the lower tail. The one thing we want to watch out for is if it does break to the upside on ES and NASDAQ, does it fail very quickly? Because we have had a couple of times recently where it is trying to find higher value, but it ends up being like a look above and fail, and it comes back down. So that higher value is quickly being lost. So that is something we want to keep an eye on. Is it going to look above and fail for a third time? A lot of buyers coming in on the open here. We did have some data this morning. Let me take a look at that really quick. So we had the non-farm employment 122 over 118, so another employment print higher than expectations. 9:45, 10 a.m. we have some data coming out, and we have the Treasury Secretary speaking as well. So watch out around that 10 o'clock. There were some headlines yesterday after the market closed that were pretty bearish. There was a lot of strikes going on from Iran. I think it was into Kuwait, if I remember correctly. Also, the U.S. striking an Iranian ship that was trying to break the blockade. So just a couple of strikes going on, drone strikes, missile strikes, etc. And you would expect stuff like that to be leading to a decent sell-off and oil going up, but the market just doesn't really give a shit anymore. It's kind of interesting. Oil's still going down and market's going up. Yet another day with a gap up on the SMH semiconductors. The bubble continues. 7% day for Intel, AMD up 3%, Micron still going. AMD just absolutely exploding. Let me just make a watch list really quick. How do I make a section again? I haven't made one of these in forever. I don't want to add a symbol. I want to make a section. Go. We'll just call it bubble. Oh, it's not letting me add this because it's already in this section. That's really annoying. What are the other big ones? AMD, Intel, Micron, SanDisk. What else is blowing up? Broadcom's been blowing up recently. Dell's been blowing up. QCOM, I guess we could add. All right, that's good for now. Keep an eye on 605 here. We want to see how it reacts to 605. Very nasty failure on NASDAQ there. Failing VWAP on ES as well. 605 key level here. We'll see if it can hold outside of that value low. And NASDAQ doing exactly what we just talked about with that quick failure, trying to find higher value, but it's not really doing it. So you have another look above and fail possibly here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Leo, Future, Scott, Mick, Christian, AT. Good morning, Greg, Ike, Lubmir, Ken, Morris, Roman, Channel, Panama, Michelle, DMG, Lulu, Larry, Igor. Good morning, Peter, Flory, Adam, Scooby, Blood, Orion, Anthony. Good morning, Sam, Rocket, JM, Julio. Good morning, Music, Newen, and Tamer. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning. It's already Wednesday. The week's flying by, I guess. Appreciate you guys watching that short that I put out yesterday. It's one of our best performing shorts recently. It seems like you guys definitely have a preference. The order flow shorts, the ones that are focusing on like exhaustion, absorption, just like kind of the footprint stuff. You guys seem to like those a lot more. So we'll focus on putting more of those out. Those ones are a little bit harder because we need like very clear patterns to happen for that to for me to be able to talk about it, right? It's really determined on if the market gives us those patterns. Yeah, I had somebody comment asking to add the date to the shorts, so you guys could know like what day we were talking about. If you guys don't know, when you're watching a short, on the bottom there's like the title, right? It like says the title of the short. Above the title is always the long form video. So you can always just click that button above the title and it will take you to the long form video that the short is coming from. So that's where the stream is always located. Now we've already talked about adding the date to like the first like couple of seconds of the stream just to make it easier. But yeah, the bottom of the short, you can always see where the stream is. A little bit of absorption going on down here at 605. Sellers protecting, or sorry, buyers protecting that value low. Any videos on reading the DOM? I think I have a couple of shorts. If you look up DOM in my on my channel, it might pop them up. There's not much to talk about with the DOM. You really have to just learn it by watching it, by screen time. The DOM and the tape, they're not really like patterns you're looking for. It's more so just getting used to the flow. Getting used to how it moves. They're not like really hard set in stone patterns you're looking for. Starting to lose that 605 node here. This lower tail is pretty weak. You could retrace that tail. There is an old value low around like 88. You could also target that as well. Still pretty extended on the weekly. Weekly fair value is around like 500. Little bear flag into VWAP here. This would probably be a bad variation because the bounce is so quick. We're losing our like hyper aggressive trend here a little bit. To stay in this trend, it would have to remain like very aggressive to the buy side. And you are pulling away from it a little bit here. If it stays below like 550, 600, you're losing that trend a little bit. Dollar is starting to push up, and this is a perfect bulldog on the dollar here. But does have a bullish pattern to possibly go higher. Now, patterns like this don't typically work that well on the dollar. You're not really looking for candlestick patterns that much. But same idea. Dollar just kind of gaining strength. Good morning, Trevor. Not sure if I saw you earlier. Good morning, Ralphie. Good morning, Ryder, eBay, Power. Is there a wall there? It looks like there is. Yeah, there is a small wall here. You can actually see the wall very easily on this right here. You see that flat line that keeps hitting? It's on an absolutely flat line at 600. There's the break. So you finally broke that wall after 2,500 contracts. You see how flat it is, just constantly selling into that 600, but not a single tick below it. And then you finally broke. Very strong break at that 600 level. A lot of bearish delta coming in here. So sometimes with walls, you'll see it, you'll build the wall up, you'll keep hitting it, you'll break it, but then you'll flip right back to the other side. So this is not one of those times, right? Very strong sell pressure through that wall so far. Yeah, a couple of ways you can find that wall. You can use a delta chart or like a volume chart that typically helps. You can see it on a footprint chart with a very high delta, or something like a heat map or like a liquidity map. If it's just smacking into the same level over and over and over again, it's probably a wall there. A little bit of data here at 9:45, and then we have big data at 10 o'clock. 50.7 or 51. The higher impact is at 10 o'clock, and so is the Treasury Secretary. What's he doing here? Testifying on the president's fiscal year 2027 budget. So it's a budget hearing. Here is that 88 level. That is the value low of a couple of days ago. So you see how it's like fighting over this level? And our market pressure is nearly identical. And it keeps just like rotating and fighting that level. You can just keep an eye on the market pressure here to see kind of who's in control. And now you're starting to lean a little bearish. But before that, it was identical. Like they were really fighting over that 88. And funny enough, they're fighting over it so much, it's a 0 delta level. You don't see that very often. That is a 0 delta. Meaning it is completely 50-50. And it's to the tick on that value low. So now look at the market pressure. Way more bearish, right? So this is exactly what we were worried about with NASDAQ, like to a T, what we were talking about. If you read my trade plan, I talked about the potential for like a look above and fail, right? I said if the breakout fails quickly, it'll be the third attempt to find higher value failing, which should target the lower tails. And here is that lower tail. So rotation is already complete to that 538. And then lower tail would be the full move. Here is that lower tail on ES being completely taken out here. And this is the problem when you have multiple days trying to find higher value and they're all failing at basically the same area. Another 0 print. Those are pretty rare, and we're seeing a couple here. Almost like, kind of like single prints almost. Very, very aggressive here, staying below the 80 MA every candle, and not only staying below it, it's pretty far below it. So decently extended here. Okay, here's the problem with being too extended off that 80 MA. It's almost always going to pull back. There's that pullback. Those 0 prints got filled in. Like I said, they're very similar to single prints. They like being filled in. Still seeing a pretty strong sell pressure down here. By the way, if you're in Discord, I did post my new template. I'll be making a video most likely this weekend going over the new widgets and all the new things. I should also have a promo code for Addis for that video, so come out sometime next week. Yeah, the market pressure one's good. I've always had it on my chart. It's just a lot harder to see. It's just this like tiny bar right here. But it's more of a short-term one. This is more of a longer-term one. I say longer-term, but it's in a scalping sense. It uses a bit more data. Yeah, the widgets are really cool. If you guys were in Discord yesterday in the afternoon, we were talking about a very obvious bear div that was happening. And price was pushing up. I think it was around like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., sometime around then. And price kept pushing up, but we were seeing a bear div on the entire widget here. And that bear div ended up playing out and it came back down. Hey fam, I appreciate it, man. I'm not really trying to be. I'm not really trying to be an influencer or anything, but I'm glad you find value in the stream. Want to Mark? Sell pressure still continuing here. They're trying to protect that 88 level. They're trying to basically make this a much lower high. All the big stuff starts at 10 o'clock. We have the Treasury Secretary talking about the budget. We have the PMI data. We have the beige book at 2 p.m. Doing a really good job trying to hang out around that value low. This is not the value low of yesterday, by the way. It's the value low of Monday. We're bouncing right off that tail. So the tail target, the 75 target, That is damn near the low of day. They grabbed that lower tail. And this is exactly what we talked about yesterday in the Discord on my closing statement and on the trade plan this morning. When you have multiple look above and fail, like where you try to find higher value, it rejects it, rejects it, rejects it. The most obvious thing you want to do is grab those lower tails. So here's that grab right there. EOC moving down here. I'll make a short about that. Remind me before the stream is over. We'll make a short talking about the look above and fail turning into a tail hunt. It's that same theory we talk about in like September. It happens a lot, kind of like the later quarters of the year, where you have that like P shape, P shape, P shape, and you have all those untested tails, and then it fails to find higher value, and then it comes right back down, and it grabs those lower tails, right? Very similar to that. Good morning, Bella. What time is it? We have 1 minute left. A lot of data coming out. What's today? Wednesday. Another short coming out tomorrow. And then shorts coming out on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to keep up that 4 a week for a while until it gets a little too saturated. Then we'll probably bring it down a little bit. As long as you guys keep watching them, I'll keep pumping them out, right? Still seeing that slight sell pressure, trying to protect this value low of Monday. Here comes that data. $54.5 over 53.7, so slightly high, same as the, or no, actually the one before was slightly low. Factory orders 4.8 over 4.6. Another massive delta level here at 91. Keep an eye on VWAP, potentially another bear flag in the VWAP here. The first one obviously worked out. You had a little bear flag in the VWAP and then nuked. That one was kind of a bad variation because it was pushing so aggressively into it. But obviously that did not matter. Bad variation doesn't mean it's completely useless. It just means that it's worse than a normal one, right? Turning into a higher low here. Here's the daily VWAP. Liquidity is extremely fluid today. It's like constantly moving. It's not really sticky. Seeing oil still go down here, even though we are coming down on the markets here. So our correlation is very weak. Still not seeing really any significant correlations. Yeah, correlations are pretty much all weak except for the dollar. The dollar is a inverse correlation right now. Everything else is pretty weak. Little bit of a capital B forming. Our prior POC is around 605. Our new POC is about 20 points lower. And then we have a very obvious LVN between that. You do not have any comments coming out from the secretary just yet, so keep an eye on that. So far, bear flag into the daily VWAP is holding. You're not getting a ton of sell pressure just yet. But one thing you are not seeing, same as before, you're not seeing any buyers above VWAP. Very significant imbalance in delta on that morning failure. You can see the horizontal boxes here, the imbalance. You had a lot of delta coming out on that high. Not as bad on ES. You can see it start to come in right here. Good morning, Vivian. Keep an eye on those EMAs. You're trying really hard to hold on to them here. A couple of bad statements coming out from Fed Williams, saying he predicts inflation to reach its highest point in coming months. Higher energy prices are driving up costs and inflation. Inflation is also elevated in tech due to AI. Just talking a lot about inflation. Still rolling off of VWAP here, not finding a single buyer above VWAP. Yeah, now they're forecasting, exactly. They're basically just weathermen. Okay, finally trying to find some buyers above VWAP here. Keep it on the session VWAP at 680 and then 604. This is that LVN on the capital B. Buy pressure is only slightly stronger here, not very strong. Thoughts on Bookmap? I only used them back in the day for I think like about a year. I think I used them. It was before COVID, I believe. I didn't think it was that good, that fancy, to be honest. I didn't like their UI too much. I don't know if it's changed much over the years. I'm sure it has. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. There's no real need for Bookmap nowadays. Addis does everything that Bookmap does, plus more. Good morning, Sam. You're new and trying to learn order flow. What tips can I give you? If you don't understand the other concepts that you need to know before order flow, you're not going to understand order flow. So you have to understand like market structure. You have to understand uh, basically volume profile, because that's pretty much what footprint is. That's what order flow is. If you're talking about footprint, if you're talking about like the other kinds of order flow, like tape reading and um, DOM reading and all the other little indicators, that's a little bit different. But if you're talking about footprint, you have to understand all the other concepts before you get into order flow, or it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, auction market theory, that sort of thing. Exactly. Yep. That's why I made that series, Becoming an Apex Trader, the way that I did, because you have to understand step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 to get into step 5, right? Step 5 was order flow. If you don't understand volume profile, if you don't understand market structure, candlestick stuff, you're not going to understand footprint. If you don't understand like auction market theory, like the supply and demand behind the scenes, like why people are buying here, why people are selling here, what does it mean to have like more buy pressure or more sell pressure, that sort of thing, just like the basics of it, you're not going to understand order flow, right? A big problem with traders is they see something fancy like order flow, or they see something like volume profile, or whatever fancy strategy you're looking at. They see these fancy things and they want to skip everything else. They think this like shortcut into the fancy thing is what's going to make them a profitable trader. But they don't understand that you can't understand the fancy thing if you don't understand the basic thing, right? That's the best thing I can say for order flow, is you need to understand the basics before jumping into footprint or jumping into tape reading, order reading. Like a great example is like all my different monitors and all the different things that I look at. It's not like I started trading and I threw all these things on my screen and I just immediately was a master at all this stuff, you know what I mean? I learned all these little things one by one by one by one. You're looking at years and years worth of screen time. Like every little line on my chart I've used for years, right? Even stuff like this that I just added like a couple of days ago. I've been using this stuff for years. None of this shit is new to me. It's just a new way of visualizing it. I've been using rate of change and speed of tape for years. I've been using liquidity for years. Buy and sell pressure for years. Delta for years, right? So if you guys don't understand this stuff like right away, don't feel bad about it. This is thousands of hours of screen time. John, it must be on your side or like an issue with your data connection or something, because I'm currently using Rhythmic as well, and I'm not seeing any issues for me. I don't know if I'm just lucky and other people are having issues, but there's no issue on the broad spectrum of Rhythmic right now, is what I'm saying. So it might be an issue on your end, maybe a PC thing, maybe a data issue, an internet issue, something like that. I'm not sure. But Rhythmic is like 90% of the time a very good data provider. You guys are watching a paid Apex account using a Rhythmic connection every single day on my live stream. And I don't want to jinx it, but I don't have data issues that often. I'd say like 10% of the time, right? Not even like 10% of my streams. It's probably like 1% of my streams. Yeah, it sounds like it might be on your personal side. Good morning, Faraj. Still not finding too many buyers above VWAP, especially on ES. You're finding a little bit on NASDAQ. Watched Deja for 1 year. All the videos, it makes a difference. It took me 2 years to really understand order flow. Yeah. Well, it goes back to like what that guy was bitching about yesterday, and I was laughing at him and I banned him. I forgot what his name was already. But it just goes back to using him as an example. People want shortcuts and they act like they want to learn, but they don't want to learn. They want to be spoon-fed. A very small percentage, right? I'm not talking about all of you guys. I'm talking about those people that are like, hey, let me ask like these questions, and I give them the answers that will quickly get them to where they need to go. But that's not what they want to hear. They want to just be spoon-fed the shortcut, the end. They want to get to the end as soon as possible. I lay out the path on how to get from point A to point B. They don't want to take that path. They want to just be at point B. They want to teleport to point B. So some people will ask, like, how do I learn these things? And I'll be like, hey, here you go. Here's my entire playlist that goes over every little detail, and it will teach you exactly what you want to learn. And they'll take that and they'll get upset. And they're like, well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the answer. If only the world worked that way, right? If only it was as beautiful as that. If only we lived in a fairy tale utopia. Copy paste machines, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I forgot who asked that question, but whoever asked, very good books for you. Mind Over Markets, Markets in Profile by Dalton. He gives you the idea behind order flow, the idea behind like volume profile and the whole auction theory process, like why buyers are doing what they're doing, why sellers are doing what they're doing, what is value, why are we finding higher value, why are we finding lower value, just the whole idea, the whole theory. Mind Over Markets, Markets in Profile by Dalton. Yeah, I don't want to get into a massive rant about AI, but you bring up a really good point where you're talking about like copy and paste machines. And me and my buddy, we have this conversation all the time about how people are constantly bitching about AI and how AI is the devil. And they're like virtue signaling for AI. It's like very, very strange. And they're trying to say that AI has like no benefits. It's just purely negative. And I understand their arguments to a certain degree, right? There's definitely negatives when it comes to AI. And they're talking about how AI is nothing but AI slop. And it just creates all this bullshit, all this slop. And me and my buddy we're constantly using AI on like a daily basis. And we're talking about how people who say that just have not figured out how to use AI to improve their daily life, to massively multiply their labor. It is like I honestly cannot think of anything that even comes close to it in my lifetime that has amplified my creative process, my labor, like how many hours it takes me to create things and just take an idea from my head and turn it into something. Like I literally cannot think of anything that has come close to it. It is a massive benefit to people that know how to use it. A great example is almost exactly what I was just talking about with trading. They don't want to put the work in and go from point A to point B. They just want to put the thing into the AI and AI teleports them to point B. But if you learn how to use AI to walk you through the process from point A to point B and making that path a lot shorter, but still help you learn the entire process, it's speeding it up, right? It's like instead of walking the path, it's giving you a car to drive the path. So you're still doing the path. You're just doing the path a lot faster. Right. Starting to hold on to these EMAs, by the way. So keep an eye on that. It's starting to turn a little bit into a trend. Only on NASDAQ, though. You're not seeing it on ES. They are not following each other. So that is a little bit of a warning sign. Sell pressure is still a little strong as well. But yeah, my long story short, so I don't rant about this all day. I could talk about this shit all day. But long story short, if you learn how to use AI to not think for you, but to amplify your thinking, to help you turn your thoughts or creative thoughts into like tangible things, right? Um, just speed up your learning process, right? There are just massive benefits to using it. Just don't fall into the slop mentality of like not thinking for yourself and letting the machine just do all the thinking for you. That's where it becomes a problem. Like if you're using it to code, a great example is like having it walk you through why it's coding what it's coding. You can literally tell it in its instructions. Like whenever you create a function, whenever you create XYZ, put annotations next to it and explain what the hell it is and tell me why you're doing it and why it needs to be in the code. Yeah, exactly. Ask, how can I do this? Exactly. Yeah. I want to create this thing. Don't create it for me. Explain step by step, like plan it out for me and walk me through how I can create this. Don't create it for me. I want to know how to create it so I can do it next time, basically by myself. But yeah, sorry, I'm a little passionate about that because it's just so it's just one of those things that just annoys the hell out of me. People are just stuck in this like this mindset that it's negative, and they don't realize they're just putting themselves so far behind the average person that is using AI to amplify their labor, just amplify their lifestyle. Help you with your emails, help you with your calendar, help you with habit trackers, like whatever, just little shit. You're being left behind is my point. The genie is out of the bottle. You're not putting the genie back in the bottle. So the longer that you're on this like hate train, the farther behind you are being left. And for people that are in their 20s, that are entering the job market, if you're in this mentality, you are being left behind. Like jobs that are looking for people that have AI experience and that know how to use these programs to massively amplify their labor. And they're looking at these people that are trying to get this job. And they have one person who's like, oh yeah, I use AI every day. I know how to do all these fancy things. And they have a second person who's like, oh no, it's the devil. I would never touch AI. They're gonna hire the person that has been using it every single day. All right, sorry, my rant's over. Don't get left behind is my point. It ties into trading exactly what we were talking about. Stop trying to teleport from point A to point B. Walk the path, go the right way, learn things the right way. When you get to point B the right way, you're going to be much better off than if you just teleported to point B. Keep an eye on VWAP here at 602. You're stuck between VWAPs. You're in that chop zone, that danger zone, the do not care zone, whatever you want to call it. You're in that zone between the VWAPs. Yeah, Claude is insane. Like, I knew Claude was better than the other ones for a while, but I've been using Claude on like a daily basis recently, and it is much better. They're not even in the same like ballpark. Now it's better at different things, right? I still use Grok on a daily basis for my daily news stuff, like pulling directly from my news feed on Twitter because Grok is tied into Twitter. So I use Grok to pull my news feed overnight. Basically every morning when I wake up, I tell it to look at my news feed, the exact news feed that we're using every day, and I tell it to basically grab all the most important headlines, give me the most important headlines, and summarize everything. So I have all the important headlines if I want to read through all of them, and then if I want to read just like a basic summary, I have that as well. Grok is really good at like absolutely up-to-date data. Like you could ask it for the data that comes out at 10 o'clock at like 10:01, and it will have it. But Claude is much better at like writing. It's better at task. It's better at code. It's better at pretty much everything else. Grok has the best voice dialer. I never use voice actually. I never use my voice like to talk to it, or I never use its voice to talk to me. I've never actually tried that. I've used it a couple times to like read a very long statement. Like if I was doing something else, I'd have it read it to me. But only a couple of times. I mostly use the Claude app on my phone. And then if I'm doing like bigger stuff, I do it on the PC. Right now, I'm learning Claude Code, so I'm learning all the little things about Claude Code, and I'm getting ready to start using that probably today or tomorrow. I've been using Claude Code already on Visual Studio, but now I'm actually getting into the actual Claude Code terminal, like their version. So I'm just learning like their version of it. I just don't need that, Chris. It wouldn't do anything for me. There's nothing I would need an uncensored LLM for. My AI programs are doing everything that I need them to do right now perfectly fine. I don't use Claude for trading. I just use it for analysis. Analysis and like reading headlines, reading data. I can ask it about like earnings, like all the fundamental analysis stuff. I don't use it for technical stuff. I have been testing it on the Chat GPT one, the Athena bot, which I have ported to Grok. Unfortunately, I can't give you guys the Grok port because it just reveals everything. It doesn't hide anything. But I've been testing it on both the Chat and the Grok one. They're about the same. Grok is a little bit better. You can give it like charts and stuff like that. It's not really necessary though. The whole point is like using it to save you time and whatnot. And it's kind of costing you time in that regard. Yeah, you can code your own indicators with Claude as well, yep. Yeah, exactly, Lulu. Like I said, if you're in that, like, it's almost like the perma bear mentality. Instead of being a perma bear on trading, you're a perma bear on AI, and it's the exact same arguments that I make about trading. You can just pull those arguments and make it about AI. The people are just being left behind. I don't know. It's just so weird. I don't know. They're only hurting themselves. Like I said, I understand the arguments. I understand the energy. Believe me, I live in the data center capital of the world. My energy costs are skyrocketing. I should be pissed off like everybody else is. I'm with you. I understand. But I still understand the benefits of using it, even though my energy costs are skyrocketing, right? My energy bill has gone up like 50% in 1 year. I was looking at my energy bill like a month ago, and my consumption was literally identical, like almost to a tick identical to the year before. And I'm paying 50% more than I paid last year. So, like I said, if anyone should be pissed, it should be me, right? Still in that danger zone here. Keep an eye on the session VWAP at 602. It's ignorance. It is ignorance to a certain degree, yeah. They're mad at what they don't understand. And that was my big rant earlier. It's about people that think The people who think that AI is just slop, it's because they only know how to create slop with AI. So it's exactly what you said. It's ignorance. They're mad because they don't understand. If they knew how to make shit that wasn't slop, if they knew how to use it in a much more efficient way to amplify their labor, amplify their time, they wouldn't think it's only for slop. What you guys have to understand, this goes with trading as well. It's constantly what I talk about. The number one thing in trading is time in, value out. How much time do I have to put into something? How much value can I get out of it? As humans, we are all stuck into the same 24-hour window, right? We have a finite amount of time in our life. Anything that can save us time should be massively used. Time is our most valuable resource. Like, people think it's money, it's not money, it's time. If things can save you a lot of time, they are worth their weight in gold, right? We're basically just waiting for it to get out. Where's the, here it is. We're waiting for it to get out of this, like, chop zone here between these VWAPs. This is a do not care zone until you get to VWAP. You got to ask the question, what's the benefits to an average American and do they outweigh the expenses? I believe if everybody was using AI properly, it would massively outweigh the expense. But people are not all using it properly, right? That's my point. That's my point, right? Sorry, my throat's shot at this point. I believe if everybody was using it to amplify their labor and amplify their time and be very creative, create things, right? It would massively outweigh the expense. That's why I wish things like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, they have been pushing back on it a little bit more recently. But I wish they would crack down on the slop bullshit. Like, AI slop channels that are like just 100% slop, they have like no human interaction whatsoever. They're just like ripping content and creating ridiculous edits and creating ridiculous captions that are most of the time not even correct. They should not earn a single cent, right? And I think that is the YouTube policy moving forward, is like, if it's a 100% AI channel, they don't earn any money. I actually don't drink coffee anymore in the mornings, which for a while was why I had like no energy in the morning. My body's kind of used to it now, but I don't drink coffee in the mornings anymore. I don't even drink coffee every day anymore. It's like every other day, maybe. I've massively limited my caffeine intake, even though I was only on like 1 cup of coffee a day. Sometimes I have a cup of coffee and I have neuro gum. If you guys know what that is, it's like caffeine gum, which is, let me see. They are, where does it say? 40 milligrams. So 40 milligrams plus a cup of coffee. What's that, like 140, 150? And that wasn't even every day, so I'm down to like almost 0. It was giving me migraines. Like I told you guys I was getting migraines a lot. And that was like one of the things that I didn't really try, was just completely cutting caffeine. So I cut my caffeine and I don't really get migraines anymore. You're on fire today? Yeah, I don't know why. I guess I slept well. I don't know. I think it's just because I've been using AI so much recently. Like I said, I'm getting ready to get into Claude Code. So I've been watching a lot of videos, and it's just been something on my mind I wanted to rant about. Used to get ocular migraines. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here. Yep. Yeah, ocular migraines, kind of like the regular migraines. They like wrap around the top of your head. I'm not a very good coder at all. I'm only a good coder because of AI. I was a good coder before when I was diving deep into it with PineScript, obviously making all my indicators. The problem with coding is you have to hyper focus on it. By the way, we're starting to lose VWAP here. But finally, something happening. Keep an eye on these lows. If you stay below like 90, it's getting a little weak. Right now, you're just rotating the POC, so we have to stay away from the POC. So below, I'd say 87, actually, not 90. Stay below 87. But yeah, the problem with coding is you have to stay hyper focused on it. If you stop coding for like a few months, at least for me, I like forget everything. I have to like relearn all the shit that I did. I have to go back and look at my code. I can't even read my code. I'm like, how the hell did I even write this? But nowadays, being able to use AI, and it has like the memory and the instructions, and it annotates everything. It makes a very clean layout. I can code really well with AI. Yeah, coding by myself back in the day was rough. I had to stay like absolutely hyper focused on it. No, I haven't tried that, Ram. No, I haven't seen that, Ralphie. I'll take a look at that. That sounds good. Do I still eat the gum? Yeah, not every day, but every now and then. I have the spearmint and I have the cinnamon. They're both pretty good. If you guys are trying to lower your caffeine intake, but you still want a little bit, they're pretty good. It's called Neuro Gum. They have mints as well. I typed it in chat. You can get them on Amazon. I think it's like a third of a cup of coffee. So you don't want to just keep chewing them all day, but if you have like one in the afternoon or something. I usually eat them after lunch, because if I eat lunch, I crash a lot after lunch. So I'll eat them after lunch so I can focus on trading. It helps me recover from just crashing. Yeah, I saw that Anthropic was filing for IPO. I mean, that might finally be the top. A lot of times during these bubbles, like the constant flood of IPOs is typically like the investors trying to exit, right? It normally can signal a top. So it is a little scary that all these companies are just filing for IPOs as fast as they can. And I saw some funny statement. It was like, it was comparing Anthropic's IPO value to Walmart and then comparing their revenues together, and it was like astronomically different. But that goes back into the trading thing where the company's not valued at its current value, it's valued at what it could be in the future earnings, yada, 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 bullshit, right? All right, keep an eye on VWAP here. VWAP at 660. Below that, you are getting pretty bearish, possibly back down to the lows. Yeah, exactly, Cara. Like that, and that's what I'm talking about. People just need to know how to use it properly. Don't use it for slop. Use it to make your daily life easier. I like never have to Google shit anymore because it's just AI is Google, right? If I ever need to learn something, I just learn it with the AI. Yeah, I use anchored VWAPs all the time. I'm using one, well, it's kind of the regular VWAP, but I use them all the time for like longer term analysis. I use regular VWAPs for day trading. Yeah, I think people are using AI improperly for their trading. They're trying to, like I said earlier, they're making that mistake of teleporting from point A to point B. They're not using AI to help them get from point A to point B. They're not using it to make their time easier, to provide more value. They're just trying to make it give it to them. They're trying to make the AI spoon feed them, right? You're just not going to learn in trading. You're not going to make it in trading. AI is not that good. If AI was that good, the market would not exist. If every single retail person could just type into Claude, make me a bot that prints money, and it was good enough to do that, the market would not work. You know what I mean? Yeah, make me instantly profitable. Still protecting VWAP here on NASDAQ. Completely off topic, completely out of left field here. Have you guys seen the Lego drama shit on YouTube that's going like super viral? If you haven't seen those videos and you have like 2 hours of time you want to waste 2 hours on that stuff. Those videos are, they should have been a Netflix documentary. Well, that's the funny thing is like the dude is kind of a troll, but he's trolling for like the right reasons. So long story short, if you guys didn't see what it was, this guy, This older guy was like in the hospital. He's kind of like dying. His health was really bad, basically. He also has the largest collection of Legos in the world. It's worth like $200,000 or something like that. So he gave it to his, I believe it's his son. He gave it to his son to sell, basically. So his son co-signed it with a Lego store so they could sell it for him and he could make money, right? The store, long story short, without spoilers, I guess, they try to steal his Legos, basically. They try to steal his Lego collection. And it sounds like it's not that interesting, but I'm telling you, these videos are insane. I'm not doing it justice trying to explain it. You just gotta watch it. There was this one comment that had the perfect summary of the videos. And the comment said, this story is like telling your elementary school principal about a bully who stole your Pokemon cards, then finding out your entire elementary faculty did 9/11. The Lego animation parody? No, I haven't seen that. It's like that meme, if you guys have seen that meme where it's like a tiny little domino, and then something really small happens, and then it turns into a bigger thing. It turns into a bigger thing, a bigger thing, a bigger thing, a bigger thing. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That's what the videos are. You think it's just about some Legos being stolen? It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. For you guys that have seen it, I think within the next few weeks, we're probably going to hear from the mayor of the city it's gotten that bad. It might even go to the governor. It's like the COVID domino meme. Yeah, there's like one for like World War II as well. Or like World War I think it is. What's the guy's name? Here, I'll just link you guys the videos. You can check them out. Like I said, it's definitely kind of slop. It's something you would sit on your couch and watch on Netflix. Like it's like a Netflix documentary basically. It's completely off topic. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's hilarious. That's part 1. Here's part 2. And there's also more videos you can just find on his channel. Yeah, if you want to waste 2 hours of your life, there you go. Oh no, Sam, I'm not talking about the AI ones, no. Alright, maybe we'll get some action today and we can stop ranting about random shit. If it stays below 85 here, just keep an eye on that prior low. Not exactly a rollover top because it's so extended. Kind of more of like a head and shoulders. But you're definitely rolling over in momentum here. Momentum is completely shifting to the sell side here. Still just rotating around the POC node here. Okay, so it looks like we are finally getting headlines from the Treasury Secretary. He is doing a budget hearing. No, I don't look at VIX anymore. I used to use VIX every single day before COVID. I think COVID kind of broke VIX for me. It probably came back after COVID after a few years, but it just took it out of my trading and I never put it back in, basically. The final straw, if you guys were in the Discord, at the time we were trading during COVID, the final straw for me was I pretty much called the top of the market like to the tick. And instead of shorting the market the easy way on futures or on SPYs, shorting Qs, I thought there was a better opportunity trading VIX because I thought the sell-off was going to amplify VIX more than it would just trading the asset, right? Which in a normal sell-off, it would have, right? But SPY and Qs and everything topped out, sold off really rapidly, but VIX basically did nothing. It was being like glued, it was being pinned to a gamma level. So we basically made like no money, even though we predicted the literal top. And that was partly just a mistake on my end. Obviously, I could have just did it the easy way. But if VIX would have just did what it's literally designed to do, I would have made more money on VIX. And I was already kind of pissed off at VIX before that because it wasn't really following the correlation the way it should have. So that was just kind of the final straw for me. I was like, okay, I'm not using it anymore. And then ever since then, I just really haven't used it in my daily trading. So after that, we shifted more into a dollar focus because that's kind of what was happening. The VIX stopped working as much because of all the bullshit going on with COVID, and the dollar correlation and the yields correlation was coming back. So we started using that in our day-to-day trading, and it was much better. And we've kind of just stayed with that ever since. Kind of like this chart here, using the yields and the dollar. Yeah, there's probably nothing wrong with VIX. I just have a grudge against it, and I don't really have a want or a need to put it back into my trading. You're just glued to this. Value low. What day is that? Monday? Value low Monday? Three daily lows back to back to back. Monday. Sorry, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. They're trying to protect that 80. You can see the same thing we see on the 1 minute here, kind of that rollover in momentum. You're seeing that on the 30 minute as well. Hey, GT, have a good day, man. We'll see you tomorrow. Have I heard of ICT? I've been trading for over 10 years, so I've definitely heard ICT plenty of times, probably more than I'd like to. I have not like done ICT courses or like watched extensive videos on ICT and stuff like that. But from what I've seen, like what the indicators do and like what the theories are and all that stuff, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to call the guy a scammer or anything because I just don't care. I haven't done enough research to really give my thought process on that, on whether he's like a scammer or not. But what I can say about the concepts is, for the most part, the concepts are just repackaged volume profile and like other trading concepts that have been around for a very long time. Like fair value gaps is a great example. I believe that originated in ICT, or their version of fair value gaps, right? Basically, all that is repackaged single prints or LVNs on volume profile. It comes back to everything I say, or what I always say about trading concepts. If it's working for you, if it's making you money, I don't give a shit what it is, right? You could be flipping a coin at your desk. You could trade on moon phases. I do not give a shit. If you can form a consistent trade plan and profitability off of that concept, I do not care what it is, right? I have a problem with influencers taking concepts that have been in trading textbooks for decades, repackaging them, and saying, I made this. If you guys remember that meme from a long time ago where the guy takes the ball from the other guy and he's like, the first guy says, I made this, and the second guy takes the ball and he's like, I made this. That's what it is, right? That is the trading community in a nutshell. This is going to be a massive callback for the absolute OGs who were watching my stream in like the first year. But I used to stream on Twitch, and it was a very small community. There was only like 3 to 5 channels, and I was one of the larger ones. And one of the other channels was like a high school drama. They would always be looking for drama. And they had a guy like that who took concepts that have been around for decades, and he sold them in a $3,000 course. And this guy used to come to my stream, and he would hear me talk about concepts like point of origins, like Fibonacci levels, like testing, like when you break out, like rebounds, like when you break out and you like rebound back into the level, you pull back into it. And he'd be like, oh, I wonder where you learned that stuff from. Like, he's basically implying that I like bought his course or stole his course or whatever. And we used to joke about him on my stream all the time about like he would take something that is literally like 50 years old, 70 years, like candlesticks, right? Take something like candlesticks and say that he made it. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like people take these concepts that have clearly been in textbooks for many years, and they slap a fancy new term on it, and they're like, I made this. This is my concept now. There is almost nothing that I teach on this channel that I claim that I made. The only things that I claim that I made are the things that I physically made. My indicators, right? The OTS, the pivots, the Momo, the bots. I physically made them, right? Except for the Momo. The Momo, my friend at the time coded for me because I had no coding experience. But the strategy, the logic, it is one-to-one. I created the formula. But he coded that one for me. After that, I learned how to code. I coded everything else myself. But yeah, that's the only shit that I claim that I created, is the shit that I literally created with my hands. Volume profile, how I talk about trading it, VWAPs and order flow. I didn't create any of this shit. This shit's been around forever. This is just my take on it. This is how I look at it, how I analyze it, how I trade it. Yeah, I also really don't like that mentality. You see it a lot in the options market, where they create a lot of jargon, they create a lot of bullshit. So you think that it is fancy. You think that it's more powerful. That's a big reason why the shit that I created, it all sounds exactly like what it is. What does the Momo do? Oh, I wonder. Maybe it's a momentum indicator, right? Why are my pivots called pivots? I wonder. Maybe it's because things are pivoting off of where that level is made, right? It is the textbook definition of the word. What does my OTS trail do? I wonder what it does. Does it trail price? Ding, ding, ding. You're right. It trails price. It's why I make all my shit so easy to understand. Well, I try to make it easy to understand. Trading is still complicated. But I try to make it all very easy to understand. If you guys are wondering what the fuck am I talking about today, why am I ranting so much? I don't trade POC nodes. And you should know that if you guys are not new to my channel. If we're just sitting here building up a POC node, I'm basically not paying attention. I'm obviously paying attention. I'm looking at like what's going on. I'm waiting for something else to happen. But I'm not over-analyzing every single candle. I could not care less what these candles are doing. If I wanted to expand this to like the actual do not care zone, it is 95 down to basically here, like 87. Today should be a good reminder, even though if you're like, you want me to shut the hell up. Today should be a good reminder of not hyper focusing on every single little movement in every single 1 minute candle, right? Today should be a good reminder that you can kind of turn your brain off a little bit and wait for something bigger to happen. I couldn't tell you, Richard. I don't track like hard numbers on it. I'd rather watch thermodynamics class than ICT. Yeah, I've never actually watched any of the videos or anything, so I don't I don't know personally. I just know off of what people have said. I know how the theory works. I know how the indicators work because it was getting really big in crypto back in the day. Crypto had a flavor of the month. Every month it was something new. Ichimoku Cloud, volume profile, order flow, VWAP, ICT, Elliott wave. It's like, what was the flavor of the month? And ICT was one that stuck around a little bit more. TradingView shows backtest. I do not recommend using TradingView's strategy tester. It's not very accurate. People like using the strategy tester on TradingView because it looks fancy and they can make their videos and say their bot has like a 5.0 profit factor and a 90% win rate. But then if you live test the bot or if you manually back test the bot, it's not even remotely close to that. I have not run the raffle yet. I've put you guys all like together. I got all the tickets and everything, but I haven't actually run it to pick the winners yet. I will be picking the winners today. ATF, supposedly they sold it to pay dividends. That's what I heard. I haven't done any research myself. Yeah, I get it, Richard. You can code it better and like you can make it more accurate. I just don't care to do it. I'm not a big marketer, right? I'm not trying to tell you guys like this bot is like going to change your life and it's a 100% win rate. But I'm not a big marketer. I just don't care about shit like that. We beta tested the bot the same way I do with all my other indicators. I gave it to everybody on stream. I gave it to everybody in the Discord for over a year. And everyone tested it on many different assets, gold, oil, ES, NASDAQ, I mean, you name it, stocks, whatever. Live tested it, not bullshit back testing, not the strategy tester. Live tested it with real money, right? Probably some people were using prop accounts or sim accounts or whatever. But regardless, it was being forward tested for over a year. And then after that, we made some tweaks to it and then released it, right? So that is my form of like testing. We did live testing. And we've been live testing it since then. That was back in 2020, I think 1 or 2. I'd have to double check. But at least 4 or 5 years. We have had dozens, if not over 100 people live testing it on a daily basis. So, like I said, I just don't care to be a marketer and try to sell shit to you guys. You can test it out yourself. If it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't help you, then don't use it. I have many videos talking about my strategies and how I like to use it, the waterfall method and whatnot. But yeah, that's about it. I give it to you guys for free if you guys use my Apex code, which by the way they extended the Apex discount for another week, I believe, 90% off. If you guys still need indicator access, and I did see a couple of you guys email me that I still need to get back to. I do apologize about that. I was doing all the raffle shit yesterday. But if you guys use my Apex code, send me your most recent receipt and just let me know what your trading view name is. I give you access to the bots for free. I give you access to the Momo and the OTS for free. Well, you have to buy the Apex account, but it's free on my end. You don't have to pay for the bots or anything. For 60 days. And hopefully that will help you guys get funded. Which I was keeping track of for a long time. We have helped over 200 people get funded accounts. I didn't keep track of, I should have did this. I didn't keep track of the amount of people that got payouts. But it's a few dozen at least. So I'd say 10 to 20% have gotten payouts. Based on people who have let me know in Discord, let me know on emails, let me know posting in the Gains channel, let me know privately, shown me in the tutoring sessions, etc., etc. It's probably around that number. Probably around 20, maybe a little higher. 20%. Yeah, I'm not a marketer. I don't give a shit to market. There's my email if you guys need to request access to the indicators if you use the code BREW. Okay, finally getting some momentum here. Pressure is ramping up to the sell side. If we stay below 87 here, look for that prior low. Prior low is very weak. On today, it's very weak. But if you zoom out, it's not that weak because we have bounced multiple times. And what are we bouncing off of? We're bouncing off of the POC of Wednesday. So this big POC node from 75 to like 85, that is why we are bouncing. That is the major support, the demand zone, if you will. Yeah, I appreciate that, Kira. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like the people that come in have watched my stream for 10 minutes and they call me a scammer and they don't like that I don't show my trades. They have to understand I just do not give a shit when I am constantly being messaged by people in Discord, by people on the stream, by people that send me emails, and they're constantly telling me that they're getting payouts because of my teachings, because of my indicators, because of my videos, whatever, because of the live stream, trade plan, whatever it is, right? And they're showing me their payouts. They're showing me their money. They're showing me their life changing. I don't give a shit if every now and then a few people think that I'm a scammer. What I am doing is clearly working, and I'm going to keep doing it the way that I'm doing it. Now, obviously, it's not going to work for everybody. Trading's not easy. But as long as it keeps working for some people, I'm happy to continue what I'm doing. Yeah, Ran, you don't see it on the receipt. That would be nice. I'm gonna let them know. Like that would be nice if they could add that. That'd be so much easier. But I just need to be able to see the account size, when you purchased it, and the invoice number. So basically, like the other things on the receipt, I can double check that way. But yeah, I'm gonna let them know if that would be a possibility. I don't have my Addis template public. It's only in Discord. I don't want to constantly have to update a public file. But I will be making a video this weekend going over all of my settings again, going over the new widgets, the new settings, etc. And I talked to Addis. I told him what I was doing. I asked them if they could give me a promo code because I know some of you guys wanted to get Addis. And they said they will do that. So they're going to give me a promo code that I'll talk about on that video. Which, by the way, I don't say this all the time, but I got to give them respect. Just a thank you, basically, to Apex and Addis. They help the stream out a lot. They're awesome companies. They don't pay me. I'm not on their payroll, right? I'm not an employee. I don't have a fancy contract that says I have to say nice things about them. They're just good companies, right? So if you guys want to check them out, you know where to find them. They're in the description. Apex gives us all these accounts to give away. We've done like over 100 account giveaways over the last like year or so. Addis gave us accounts to give away. They give us promo codes all the time. These companies are awesome. So check them out. Yeah, Sam, have a good day, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Torito. I'm never going to be nice to people like that. Like, if they want to come in here and beg for attention that way, they're just going to get banned. I used to play around them a little bit, kind of troll back and forth, but I don't have time for it nowadays. That same demand zone still holding us up here. It's just the POC note of Wednesday. It is a massive buy demand zone. We know it's a bullish demand zone because of look at the reaction on Friday, Monday, Tuesday, first reaction today. The buyers are incredibly strong down here, which means that if they finally lose that, that's bad news. Possibly down to the weekly VWAP. I think is that weekly? Yeah, weekly VWAP close. Back down to 60. I remember you showing trades sometimes and it literally doesn't change anything. Maybe even made people more frustrated they didn't take your trade, so it's better for all. Yeah, I battle with it every now and then about like bringing back the shorts and like the recaps, but I genuinely think it is worse than better. Like I think it's a net negative. It will just invite more people that I have to ban, more people that are causing problems in the community. It invites more the gambling mentality, people that think trading is easy. Like, oh, look at this guy. He's doing it so easily. It's got to be easy. And what people don't understand, and I've tried to explain this a million times, they think by seeing my screenshots or like by me going over the trade, that it's going to help them with that final moment, that decision to press the button. Like when to press the buy button, when to press the sell button. It's not going to help you. Like the screenshot is only going to show you exactly what I've already said about where the optimal entry point is, like where you're looking to enter. But that final decision of you pressing that button, that cannot be taught. That is something that is only learned through experience. It is only learned through screen time. It is only learned through taking the same trade 100 times or dozens of times, whatever, right? It's like when you see that Monte Carlo simulation. I believe it's the Monte Carlo one that I'm thinking of. Where it's showing you 1,000 variations of this one trade. That is what is happening in your brain when you're trying to press that buy or sell button, right? You're running all these little variations like, oh, it could do this, it could do that. What if it hits this and then goes down? And you're trying to figure out, do you have the edge in that simulation? Is it a better variation or is it a bad variation, right? It just can't be taught. It's something that needs to be learned through experience. Back into the POC node here, just rotating back in that same node. Yeah, Mauser, I have it on this chart. It's a little bit different. But I have the yields. I'm monitoring the yields. Between the US yields and the Japanese yields. And typically when this number gets very tight and that spread gets smaller and smaller, the odds of like intervention are typically going up. Yeah, Ryder, have a good day, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, Crown, if you want to figure out that stuff, just watch the start of every live stream. If you just watch the beginning of my live stream when I do my trade plan, you'll learn that stuff in a couple of days. I'm constantly going over these charts every single morning, right, on the live stream. So it's a pre-market profile and a full session profile, and we always grab the levels from the locked-in profile, not the current profile. But yeah, I don't make videos on that because I literally do it every single day on the live stream. So to learn that stuff, just watch the trade plan, basically. Good morning, Coco. Yeah, exactly. The previous full day. And other days as well, not just the previous day. Here, my editor needed a clean picture of this chart without all my indicators. Let me do that real quick. I forget how many indicators I have on this damn chart. Let me give him another one. Let me see here. Is there an example of it like going up? Let's give him a couple of examples he can use. You know, the fractals we don't really need. We can delete that. All right, sorry, I was getting some images from my editor who does the shorts. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the stream here. I wanted to make a short before we left. What was it? What was it on? It was on, oh yeah, it was on the look above and fail stuff. So let's do that really quick, and then we'll call it a stream. This is going to be really hard to fit into a short screen, but we'll try our best. All right, guys, I just wanted to make it a mess that up already. All right, guys, I want to make a quick short on the look above and fail pattern. So we have this idea where value keeps trying to break out, find higher value. Basically, in an uptrend, you're always looking for higher nodes, right? You're trying to break into higher value, build it up, break into higher value, build it up, so on and so forth. So when you have a look above and fail, you're basically looking at where you started value, you push up, you try to find higher value, but you start seeing that resistance. You start seeing a lot of seller demand kind of pushing you back towards your prior value, your prior nodes. And it's not really a big deal if it happens like one time. But if it keeps happening over and over and over again, like we see in this kind of rollover right here, where you try to push higher value, strong sell, push higher value, strong sell, push higher value, strong sell, right? When you see it repeatedly happening, and today's trade plan is a great example. We started out, where were we? We were right around here was our daily open. And on NASDAQ, I'll show NASDAQ here in a second. It was a better example. If you keep seeing that seller demand come in and you see these look above and fail patterns happen over and over again, you typically want to target these lower tails. You want to target the lower nodes. So if we're trading up here and we try to push for higher value and then it fails very quickly, once again, I'll show NASDAQ here in a second, that's when you want to be targeting that lower value, the lower tails, lower nodes, lower POC nodes, that sort of thing. And let me go to NASDAQ because it's actually a better example here. So on NASDAQ, we can see it right on the open. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see we try to push up into higher value. You see that seller demand coming in pretty much immediately. And then look at what it's doing. The same exact thing I just talked about. You're starting to target these lower tails, that lower value. So you looked for higher value. It could not find it. You got exhausted pretty much immediately. And then you look for lower value. You find those value lows. You find those lower tails. And that's what it's currently doing. So for the rest of today, we are basically looking for lower value until it shows us otherwise, right? Until it starts finding that higher value. Basically anything above, I'd say like 750, 760. But for now, you're showing that look above and fail, not just for the first time, but for like the third or fourth time. So keep looking for those lower tails, lower POCs, value lows. Does that make sense, guys? For you guys that are on the live stream? You guys know what I mean about, like, look above and fail? Let me fix my chart. I messed it up a little bit here. But yeah, basically, long story short, you're trying to find higher value. It's just not doing it. Higher value failed. Higher value failed. Secondary failure. So we're retreating. It's kind of like VWAP in a sense. Like if you think about VWAP on a, if we imagine this is a 1 minute chart, and we think that this is VWAP, it's like you're trying to push away from VWAP, but it doesn't like that value. So what does it always do? It retreats back to VWAP. It retreats back to where it knows there's value. And you see that happen on days that it's kind of like a wait and see kind of day, where you're waiting for data, you're waiting for something to happen. Kind of like that day that we didn't have a lot of headlines coming out, it kept going back to VWAP. It kept going back to the POC. Because it's just retreating back to value. That's what it's doing here on a higher time frame. You're not finding higher value, so what is it going to do? It's going to retreat back to where it knows there's value. This very clear buyer demand. The other VWAP is the session VWAP, the one that starts the prior day, when it technically starts the day. But alright guys, I've been talking way too much today. We are going to call it. I appreciate you being here. I will be in Discord the rest of the day. Same exact thing I just said on that short. We're just looking for lower value until it tells us otherwise. Until it tells us to find higher value, we're just looking for lower value. Value lows, lower POCs, lower tails. So keep following that trade plan. Our first targets have already been hit. We still have our extended targets to the downside. But alright guys, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. Be sure to check out my shorts. I put out a new one yesterday, which you guys viewed a lot, which you guys liked, so I appreciate that. New short coming out tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Apex extended their 90% off sale. You can use code BREW. If you guys buy any new accounts in June, don't send me those receipts yet. Just hold on to them till the end of the month. We do our raffle at the end of every month. So don't send them right away. Just hold on to them. Put them in a folder or something. I appreciate you guys using the code as always. If you do need access to the indicators, the Momo, the OTS, the bots, then you can send me the receipt and let me know, hey, I used your code. Here's my TradingView name. Can I get access to the indicators? And I'll give you access for 60 days. Hopefully it will help you get funded. Hopefully it will help you get a payout. It has helped a lot of people before. Here's my email if you need it. But I believe the 90% off is extended for a week, so I think it's like next Tuesday. But alright guys, no, the indicators are on TradingView. All my indicators are on TradingView. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time as always. If you're in Discord, I'll catch you guys then. Peace, everybody.